Okay guys, continuing on with the little projects I've been doing for quick gifts, or this one can be a gift on its own, but I would use it more of a way to deliver a gift or give someone their gift, right? So recently, I'll have the links for you guys, we made our little cozy for a mug. And this one you can adjust it in different ways. If you want to make it shorter, not as long, I did a 12-inch mug cozy. If you want 11 inches, you would just shorten the amount of fabric you have on either side here, or you can adjust your buttons, like put one here, put another one, so you have two buttons, so then if the person's mug is even smaller, they can, link it to the next button over. So that's one thing. And then we have our little mug rug to go along with it, and I should have just paired that up before I did that because it looks adorable together. But anyway, if we had those things. But each one as a gift on its own is cute. So today I'm just going to show you how to make a quick bag. I made something similar to this when I reviewed the IKEA sewing machine that I've had for years, and I just recently made a review for it. So this is going to be pretty quick, pretty easy. You're going to need, what I'm doing is two 11-inch squares of fabric, but you can do whatever you like. I mean, you can just get two inexpensive handkerchiefs, do the exact same thing. Squares of fabric like this comes from Daiso, and even on there it shows you how to make like a little zipper pouch or a pull pouch kind of thing, which is kind of what we're doing, but not exactly that simple. Okay, it's going to be a little pouch. Get yourself some. This is a pack of fat quarters. That's kind of where I got the green from. I've owned this for a very long time. I probably paid 10 or 15 bucks for it. It has lots of colors in there. You don't need too much fabric, but you can do it with any size that you want. So I would probably go maybe 18 inches squares, probably the largest I would do, because the bag is going to start getting kind of weird, but like too long maybe for the top. Well, it just depends. It depends on what you're wrapping or what you want to give away in it. So just think about that. But for right now, we're just doing 11-inch squares. I've already ironed them as much as I can, but this one still has lines in it. It's been folded this way for probably a decade, so I can see why I would do that. This is just from a scrap of fabric that I had gotten from Joann's a long time ago, a remnant. So I think it's linen is what it feels like, and it has these little guys on it. I thought they were so cute. So to begin with, what we're gonna do with these guys is just put them together, wrong sides facing each other. Now this one, you don't think it has a wrong side, but it does. It has a very slight print, and you can see it there. And on the other side, it does not. So right sides facing each other. And these are both 11-inch squares, and I did cut them. Obviously, I used my mat to kind of help me make sure that they were good, but I just cut them with a rotary cutter and a ruler. I would use a long ruler. I used this little one because I didn't want to go look for a longer one, but definitely have the same, lengths there. And all we're going to do is put these together. Now, if you wanted to pin them, I would do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to take them to my sewing machine. What we're going to do is sew all the way around, leaving an opening. And I usually like to leave the opening in the middle of like this area. I don't really like to leave it in the corners. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense to do that. So wrong side's facing, and we're just going to sew these together. I'm going to use the black side to see what I'm doing because, I cut these out, but sometimes they come out a little bit wonky. So let me turn on my machine. I actually have to plug it in. And I do have my dryer going in the background. I'm sorry, but this is going to be a very quick tutorial, so it shouldn't be too bad. I have to use my sewing machine in my dining room, so it gets that way a little bit. Let me readjust this camera a little bit. I know the lighting gets a little bit wonky when I turn my sewing machine on, but it's what it is, guys. So again, I do like to leave a portion open. We're going to have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so when we're done, we're going to have a 10.5 inch square when we turn inside out. But what I'm going to do is start a little bit lower. Like I said, I want to leave a gap that's unsewn in the center of one of the squares here. And if you were to pin it together, what I mean is just put some pins so that the two fabrics stay together. And we're just gonna get to sewing. So I'm just gonna start, and I'll do a few of the corners, and then I'll show you, I'll just do the rest off camera. But we're gonna start, and I'm gonna reverse a little bit just so that the stitch doesn't come apart there when we start turning it inside out. And again, like I showed you guys, you can use the edge of your presser foot. If you have your needle set in the middle, this area should only be a 1/4 inch to the presser foot. So when you are sewing, you're sure that you're on the right one. And I'm kind of eyeballing this, as you can see, my black is overlapped in a weird way, because like I said, I cut them separately. I didn't do the best job. But I'm gonna try to follow the green here. So it might look like the black is, like I'm too far in, but it's for a reason. Basically just because of that. just kind of following my green fabric. And then I'm just gonna keep following until I get back to the beginning, and I will stop like here when I come back around. And then we'll have an opening that we're gonna turn this inside out from, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm coming back down where we started, and just gonna leave the spot open. I don't like to leave it too big because, to be honest, I don't wanna do a lot of hand stitching, but I just reversed and forward again. And where are my scissors? Sorry, guys. Just gonna cut this off. Trim off this excess thread here. And now all we're gonna do is turn this guy inside out with that little opening that we had just left. And then we're gonna have to, now you don't have to, let me show you something that we can do as I'm turning this inside out. So I'm just going to the corners and trying to pull them out. You can use a chopstick if you want, something to help you continue pulling these things out. Usually as you tug, 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 it'll just start coming through. So sometimes what happens when you're quilting, or if you're gonna make something where you're gonna stitch the edge anyway around the outside like a decorative or just a stitch just to make it look nice, you don't have to sew up that little opening, but it's always nice to. But let's say now I was going to just sew around the edges on the very edge right here on the outside, so it has like, you can actually see it. What happens then is that you will sew up this opening anyway, but we are going to sew it by hand. And I'm just going to take this thing so I can push out the corners so they're nice and crisp. It's just that marker pencil I had. As you can see, this corner isn't even out yet. So this project is super quick. Super easy. The only other thing, and I guess I probably should have started the intro showing you what it is, which is probably what I'll do. That's what I've been doing. But you also need some ribbon to pull your bag closed with. So now we have a square here. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and press this because I do want this to look nice and crisp. So we probably have about a 10.5-inch square is what it's going to be, since we just took a 1/4 inch off all the sides, right, as we sewed it together. And then we're going to sew up this side here. So let me go and take this to my iron. I'm just going to iron it flat, basically, just trying to keep the seams as open, you know, crisp as I can. And I will be right back. Okay, I just finished that up, and I'm going to take a hand needle with the little thread on it. Again, usually want it to be coordinating color. I probably should use black or something, but there's just white thread on there. And I'm gonna go to my little opening, and you can whip stitch it shut if you're using color that coordinates. Obviously my colors are black and then green, so it's kind of hard to pick one. But I'm gonna go from the inside of my fabric and bring my needle up. Hopefully you can kind of see that. That way it buries the end of that, the knot that I have there. And then I'm just going to sew this up. So usually what I try to do is catch a little bit of in between the fabric, because you know how the fabric is kind of folded in. And then I'm going to catch a little bit of the black fabric from the inside. And I'm going to catch a little bit of the green fabric. So I'm kind of like zigzagging in and out. And then I'll pull it up every once in a while, but not from there, from the inside. And that's already getting closed up. Okay, and I'll continue doing that. I try to make small stitches, but sometimes when I'm trying to show it to you guys, it's harder for me to do that because I'm just kind of going for it. But so again, just pick up a little bit of that green and a little bit of the black, but just on the very inside, so my thread isn't really on the outside. Just where those colors are folded. Okay, and I'll be right back once I'm done sewing up that little opening. Okay, so I'm just ending that off. I made like a little knot kind of outside. What happens is I'll just stick that right back through into the work somewhere and let my needle come out and give it kind of a little tug, and then that end of that will just fall in there somewhere. So I just give it a little tug, cut it off, and let that get buried in there. Okay, so next step, what we're gonna do is you can use some pins, you can use whatever you need to help you with this. And like I said, it doesn't really matter what size this thing is, you're gonna do the same kind of thing. Let me turn this off that way. The lighting's too wonky. Okay, we're gonna fold in our corners like this. Whatever you want to be on the outside of the bag, you know, once your little bag is squished up like this, whatever you want to be facing on the outside, make sure that's facing up right now. Okay, and all we're gonna do is take in our corners. And depending on the size of your bag, you should do this in a way that's going to look nice. Like maybe there's a 4-inch space here and then 4-inch space, you know, in between all of them. Whatever it is that you need for it to be equal and nice. Like right now I can tell this one's too small compared to this other one. So let me do that. And again, it's just a purse. I just eyeball this, to be honest. I don't ever keep like a number. And the reason I even went 11 inches because that worked with the scrap of fabric that I had. So that looks about right. And you can go and measure your little spaces here and make sure they're all about the same. So I'm gonna grab some pins. Another way you can do this if you're not sure about your measurements is fold your fabric in half and then fold it in half the other way and kind of give it a press so you know exactly where the half mark is. Okay, and then you're gonna measure, you know, an inch from there or however for this part. And all I'm gonna do is just put down some pins in each one of these little triangles just to help me keep them flat, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so all I did was pin each one of these little triangle areas. Now all we're gonna do is sew a 1/2-inch channel in each one of these things. Now this is kind of a small bag and I probably would go 3/8 of an inch, but 3/8 to, you know, 1/2 an inch is 1/8 of an inch difference, so it's not that much different, but you're just gonna sew down the channel here. And then after that, you can decide if you want to leave your bag just like that, pull your drawstrings, pull it tight, which is normally what I did, that's what I did in that last thing. Or you can also then just bring up the little corner to have more contrast, and then you would tack that down yourself with a needle and thread. So I think I might do that just to add a little something different here. But what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna turn on my machine. Let's come back over here. Let me see if I can see what I'm doing. Yes, I have a lot of stuff in the background there, just kind of chilling. Okay, so again, like I told you, your presser foot, if your needle is in the middle to the edge of your press foot is a 1/4 inch. And then your machine, most machines have lines on here and markings that tell you, you know, centimeters or, yeah, I guess they're centimeters at this point. And then inches up on top. And I can see the 1/2 inch, which actually says 4/8 instead of just half. So I'm gonna lift this up. You wanna use a coordinating thread. Right now I just have white thread in here and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But if you want to, you know, use a green thread and a black bobbin thread, or actually it should be green on top and bottom, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna go over to the 1/2 inch mark and see where that starts. Okay, so that's about here. And I'm right there at the very corner of where this would begin. I'm gonna put down my needle. I'm gonna take a stitch or two. And I'm gonna go back, reverse a stitch or two, just to keep that nice and secure. And now I'm just gonna go forward, making sure I stay on that 1/2 inch line, so I'm going nice and straight. Again, right over my little pins that are there, it's not a big deal. And when I get to the end, carefully, I'm gonna use my hand to do this. I'm gonna again reverse a couple stitches and then go forward again. All right, and that is it. And I'll do the same thing for all 4 triangles, or all 4 turn downs, right? So again, right now you don't have to do this, but I'm gonna cut it close just to not have a thread back here. And then of course you're gonna cut these threads close. And hopefully you can see now we just made a little channel. When I take this out, that is where we are going to put our ribbon. Okay, and I will do the other 3 just the same way. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I just finished the last one and we are done with our sewing machine. I'll just turn this off. And I'll just move over a little bit. What do I have under here? Something. All right. So the last thing we're gonna do, of course, you remove all your pins and cut back all the little extra strings that might just be hanging around there. So now we have our little purse basically all done. Again, I said I was gonna tack down these little pieces just to make them look cute. So all you're gonna do here is take your corners. Let me move this just a little bit. Hopefully this will respond the way it should. So you're gonna tack these back, and you can put it here, 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 however you want. I'm gonna probably scrunch it right up to where we left off sewing, because that way when it crunches up, it just has a little more fun, a little more design off to it. So I'm just gonna take my little piece here. Now these flaps are not gonna be seen underneath, so it's up to you how you wanna tack this down. But I would just start from the bottom here. Actually, let me poke that out. And just catch the very green part down here, and then go back down through the other side. Now you can make this completely invisible, like I said, and use a color that coordinates with your little fabric here. And you can do that a couple times. So I would just go back around, go back through the green, and then back through, and then tie it off, okay? And I'm gonna do that for all four sides. So that's just an added little tidbit. What's cute, this one ended up peeking out. Oh, hi little guy. It's right there. All right, so what we're gonna do, the last thing is put in our strings, ribbons. I mean, if you wanna use yarn, that's up to you. I don't think it's thick, not just thick enough, but just like weighty enough, you know, to do this. And then it was gonna start fraying on the all around it, so I would probably stay away from yarn, but some nice ribbon. And so let's say this isn't your 11-inch square that we start with, this is another size. What I would do is I would take the ribbon and just kind of go around all of it, just to give you an idea of how long maybe it should be, all right? And then cut it off. You do want to have some extra at the very end, obviously for tying, and then so it doesn't look awkward. So I'm just gonna cut it there because I think that's nice, and I'll tell you how long this is just a second. Let me see, that's 12, 24, 36. It's about 40 inches of ribbon. Now, what you're gonna do is you need to have 2 lengths of the ribbon. So I'm gonna cut another one 40 inches. And I've already shown you this on the last old video that I reviewed this here, but I couldn't find my bodkin, but I do have this thing. It's like a, not caliper, I forgot what they call these, but see how it sticks? It'll lock in right here. So I'm gonna use this thing. I think I got this from AliExpress. And all I'll have to do is, like, let's say I'm just gonna put this in through one of my sides here. I like bodkins better, and I usually get my bodkins at AliExpress. Not AliExpress, what's that place called? Daiso, because they're cheap. But and then this one's already kind of tight in here. Let me try to open this up a little bit more. So you just need to open it up enough to grab your ribbon and then lock it. And then all you do is pull your ribbon through. And I'm gonna do that for each one. However you like to do that, sometimes you can put just the, what's that thing called? A little safety pin on the end and just kind of work it through. You know how you do whenever you lose your laces or something in a sweater. Now this, since it's already locked on here, I'm going to use that and help me put it on this other side. And then I'm gonna let that go. And then this next one, I'll do the same thing. I'll shove it through there and grab the pink. And you're just gonna bring it all the way through and bring it back to where you began, coming out of this hole though. So they're in the same area, but coming out of this opposite side, and I'll show you what you can do for the other side. Okay, so I have that run through here. Oh my gosh, I need to get rid of these pins. Now, they're both coming out of the same area, right? I haven't tied or anything yet. Now with this one, what we're gonna do is start it on the opposite side. So this time I'm gonna use my bodkin to take it in. Starting on the opposite side. Ah, where's the end of one? Come on. I'm just gonna use that. I usually call it a bodkin, but it's not. But anyway, I'm gonna pull that and then again, push it through this side all the way around until I come out of the same side that we started here, opposite of the other side, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so I just came out of that last side there. Just kind of, I try to make sure for it not to like wind up around each other, but it's kind of hard to tell if something twisted while it's back in here, you know, so just try to flatten it out as well as you can, see kind of where you're at. And then when we get to the end, what we're gonna do is tie two of the ends together. You can tie them together however you like. I usually just like to take them both in my hand like this and give it a good knot. Try to keep them nice and together. And then I'll cut the very end of that off and burn it so it doesn't look horrible or ragged. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the other end, just put them together, line them up and try to give them an overhand knot together. And I'll be right back. Okay, you guys are almost done. So I am gonna take a little flame and just run it on the edge of those. They can stick together, they can be on their own, doesn't matter. I'm not trying to seal them together, I'm just trying to make it so that they don't come apart later. The ribbon fraying, right? So that's that. And then let's turn it over and kind of start training it. And basically we're gonna pull our strings. And as you can see as I'm doing that, it wants to come together already. Looks kind of cute, like a little cup. And just kind of train it to go in. And this is where your strings are gonna be super long, but you need it enough to actually do this with. But look at that cute little bag. And then you would just tie it together. So this is really small. Again, I was just trying to make it with scraps that I had, but that's up to you. And then it's also much firmer because of the, what's that stuff called? The linen. It's like super thick. This would be cute to put like a little something in, maybe even a gift card. If you're gonna give someone like a little jewelry item, nice and small, but again, make it bigger, you know, make it much bigger. However big, the size that you would like, that's what I would do. And you can leave it just like this, or you can tie it with a bow, however you want to use your strands. And I think it's really cute. Sweet little bag, sweet little pouch. Again, make it bigger, much bigger, whatever size you like, but that's just how you would get it going. And I do like having that little extra like bit on top. Makes it look more like a lotus flower or something cute like that. The first time I ever made bags like this was a Japanese like origami book, but it was for fabric, for purses. And they're really complicated and beautiful. I made a few and they were like, I love them. They're amazing. They come out really pretty. But this is just a very simple take on that type of thing. So I'll try to put something in here so you can see a little better what it would look like if it had something inside of it. And thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.